the challenge of his time. And this is something interesting that you bring to this discussion. Thank you for your comment, Professor.
Thank you very much. Well, now we have the next session by Dr. Arihant Kumar Jain, who will speak about mutual dialogue through Anekantavada, Jain philosophy contribution to cross-cultural philosophy. And I don't know if Cleo Cabral is online.
I'm here, sir.
Okay. Please kindly introduce him to us.
So, thank you, sir. I would like to introduce Dr. Arihant Kumar Jain now next. Dr. Arihant Kumar is an assistant professor and PhD guide at the Center of Studies in Jainism at Dharma Studies. He's the founding honorary editor of the Prakrit Times International newsletter, which is a pioneering global digital platform dedicated to the promotion of Prakrit language and literature. He has over 13 years of experience and teaching and research experience in Jain philosophy and Prakrit studies. His research articles have been published in numerous national and international journals. He's also the author of the acclaimed scholarly work, Jain Doctrine of Six Essentials, and his research focuses on Jain philosophy, Prakrit literature, and their dialogue within the broader Indian philosophical traditions. Dr. Arihant has also directed the award-recognized research documentary film, Prakrit Film, An Ancient Prosperous Tradition, showcasing the archaeological and cultural heritage of Savarna Gola. His contributions to scholarship, cultural preservation, and dissemination of Jain philosophy have also earned him several prestigious honors and rewards. I'd like you to welcome Dr. Arihant Jain. Sir, all yours.
Thank you, Cleo. Respected Chair, Keynote Speaker, Honorable Dean Ma'am, distinguished speakers, esteemed scholars from India and Argentina, and all participants, good evening. It is a privilege to present my thoughts in this seminar on cross-cultural mutual dialogue. And my topic is mutual dialogue through Anekantavada, Jain philosophical contribution to cross-cultural philosophy. I'm sharing my PPT here.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. So this paper begins with a very simple but significant research question that can one philosophical approach help establish meaningful dialogue among diverse philosophical traditions? Because many philosophical systems defend particular truths, and very few explain how different truths can coexist without collapsing into relativism. And I argue that Jain philosophy offers precisely such a framework. Because in today's interconnected world, dialogue among cultures has become unavoidable. Yet, genuine dialogue remains difficult because people often approach conversation with the assumption that their own perspective is complete. And this presentation argues that the Jain doctrine of Anekantavada provides not merely a religious teaching, but a universal philosophical methodology for meaningful cross-cultural dialogue. So let's begin. The context why Anekantavada now. Today, our world is marked by both diversity and division. Globalization has brought people of different faiths and cultures into constant contact. Yet, it has also amplified identity-based conflicts. Religious pluralism has become an ethical necessity, but it remains a practical challenge, and sectarian violence and ideological rigidity have replaced genuine dialogues. So in such context, Jain philosophy contributes something vital, uh, a worldview that rejects absolutism and cultivates understanding. So Anekantavada teaches us that reality itself is many-sided. No person, tradition, or religion holds the entire truth. Recognizing this can help humanity move beyond exclusivism and toward peaceful coexistence grounded in humility and respect. So let us begin with the meaning of the word itself, Anekantavada. Anekantavada is derived from anek, meaning many, and anta, meaning aspects. So literally, it means the doctrine that accepts many aspects of reality. If we go to the classical definition of Anekant found in Jain texts, then while defining it, it has been said, एक वस्तुनि वस्तु तत्व निष्पादक परस्पर विरुद्ध शक्ति द्वय प्रकाशनम अनेकांतः. It means that the simultaneous manifestation of seemingly contradictory parts in the same object is anekanta. And this thought may arise in the mind of a common person. How can the same thing have contradictory attributes? If this is accepted, a contradiction will arise. But thing to consider here is that the contradiction is not in the object. The contradiction may be in the perspective of the person. So we think that two opposing things can't live together, but Anekanta philosophy tells us that two opposing things can exist simultaneously in one place at the same time and without conflict. So in this sense, Anekantavada is not simply a doctrine of relativity, but a philosophy of integrality and coexistence, a way of recognizing that contradictory attributes may coexist harmoniously within a single reality. It describes reality as infinitely complex and layered. Each object or truth possesses countless characteristics that can't be fully grasped from one point of view. Thus, Anekantavada acknowledges that two apparently contradictory attributes, say permanence and change, can coexist in the same entity depending on how it is viewed. The contradiction does not lie in the object, but in the observer's limited perspective. In essence, this principle invites synthesis rather than conflict, teaching us to recognize multiple truths within one reality. So, the epistemological core, manifoldness of truth. And its core, Anekantavada, is an epistemological principle, and it concerns how we know truth. Jain metaphysics hold that every substance, which is in Jain terminology, it is called dravya, has infinite qualities. Qualities means in Hindi guna, and modes in Jain terminology, it is paryaya. So human knowledge conditioned by senses and viewpoint can grasp only fragments of this vast reality. To express this properly, Jain thinkers developed Syadvada, the theory of conditional predication. Every statement about truth must be qualified by the term Syat, means from certain point of view or from certain standpoints. This gives rise to the Saptabhangi or sevenfold scheme of predication, where statements can be conditionally true. It is called Syat Asti, Syat Nasti, Syat Asti Nasti, स्यात् avaktav, स्यात् asti avaktav, स्यात् nasti avaktav, स्यात् asti nasti avaktav. So these are the 7 saptabhangi. And my presentation is going. Okay. So in English, where statements can be conditionally true, false, indescribable, or combinations thereof. So it shows that multiple seemingly opposing perspectives can all hold partial validity. The famous, I want to show one famous parable of the blind man and the elephant illustrated this. Each man perceives one part correctly, but none of comprehended the whole. So this is Anekant parable, very famous parable. But just I'm explaining very briefly this story. There were 6 blind men who had never seen anything. They just visualizing thing by the perception they get by touching them. So one day, an elephant came to their village. All were very excited to know about the elephant. So they all touched different parts of the elephant and deduced how the elephant looks like by the perception that they got by touching the elephant. So all the 6 had different perception of the elephant. One of them touched the tail of the elephant and thought it is similar to the rope. Similarly, who touched the stomach felt it is like a wall. The one who touched the leg thought that the elephant is like a pillar. The one who touched the ear felt it is like a fan. And the one who touched the trunk felt it is like a snake. And another one, the last, who touched the tusk, felt it like a spear. So then all the 6 started fighting and saying his perspective is right and others are wrong. So they all visualize the elephant differently. And if we combine all the 6, the elephant would look like this. So then wise man with the ability to see came to them. He told them that all of them are right in their perspective, but none of them is totally correct. The wise man here is symbolic of Anekantavādi, non-absolutist. And all the 6 blind men are symbolic of people like Ekantavādi. So this is just a very simple example to understand Anekantavāda. Now, Anekantavāda as a methodology for cross-cultural philosophy. This slide summarizes the practical methodology proposed in the paper. And first, listen carefully. Second, understand another tradition on its own terms. Third, interpret its claims within its proper context. And finally, integrate insights without eliminating differences. So dialogue, therefore, becomes collaborative rather than competitive. And in another thing, Anekantavāda contributes to cross-cultural philosophy in several important ways, like intellectual humility. Every participant acknowledges the incompleteness of individual understanding. Dialogue becomes an opportunity for learning rather than winning debates. The another one is respect for diversity. Differences are not immediately interpreted as errors. Instead, they become invitations to explore alternative perspectives. Another one is contextual truth. Truth claims are evaluated within appropriate philosophical framework, and this avoids simplistic judgments across traditions. Constructive criticism. Anekantavāda does not prohibit criticism. Rather, criticism becomes more accurate because it first understands another position of its own terms. And the last one is shared search for truth. Dialogue becomes cooperative rather than competitive. Truth emerges through the interaction of multiple perspectives. So this is the methodology for cross-cultural philosophy. The ethical dimensions. Yes, from the recognition of many-sided truth arise an ethical demand, intellectual ahimsa or non-violence in thought and speech. If every viewpoint reveals only one part of truth, it becomes morally wrong to impose one's own version of truth upon others. Thus, Anekantavada naturally promotes humility, patience, and the willingness to listen. It transforms mere tolerance, enduring others, into active respect for diverse perspectives. Um, I remember Acharya Mahapragya observed that non-absolutism is not just an intellectual stance, but a spiritual discipline, a practice of inner openness and compassion. This ethical foundation connects knowledge with conduct, making Anekantavada not only a philosophy, but a way of life grounded in coexistence. Well, Anekantavada in contemporary multi-field dialogues. Yes, in today's plural societies, Anekantavada offers a practical framework for interfaith dialogue. Its method of conditional predication helps participants treat different beliefs as complementary insights rather than contradictions. When one says, from this perspective, my claim holds true, and from yours perspective, so does yours, it opens a space for genuine conversation without dilution of faith. This approach is seen in the parliament of the world's religions also, where communities of different faiths coexist peacefully. Multicultural nations such as Canada, Switzerland also echo Anekantic values in their emphasis on inclusion and mutual recognition. So in interfaith dialogue, it encourages mutual respect. In education, it promotes critical thinking without intolerance. In democracy, it supports pluralistic decision making. Thus, Anekantavada provides philosophical grounding for modern interreligious cooperation. Practical application is also there, like conflict resolution. Anekantavada teaches us that each ideology, religion, or philosophy has a partial truth. Instead of fighting over who is absolutely right, we can learn from each viewpoint, and this reduces fanaticism and foster harmony. The peaceful coexistence. By respecting multiple perspectives, society can live together despite difference, whether religious, cultural, or political. Scientific temper, like science, also accept that truth is provisional and open to revision. So Anekantavada resonates with this spirit by discouraging dogmatism and encouraging inquiry. Decision making and leadership. Leaders can apply Anekantavada by weighing different viewpoints before making judgments. Instead of one-sided policies, they can adopt balanced, inclusive solutions. So these are some practical application. Because sort of time I'm going, I have to complete within 1 to 2 minutes. So challenges is also there. While promising Anekantavada faces certain challenges, it is sometimes misread as relativism, the idea that all opinions are equally valid. But Jain thinkers clarify that each perspective is partial, not arbitrary. So truth exists, but human access to it as limited. So these are some future applications, challenges. So the conclusion is to conclude Anekantavada, Anekantavada, born from the soil of Jain philosophy, stands today as a universal philosophy of coexistence. It challenges absolutism by teaching humility and openness to others' truth. And its ethical vision links philosophy to real life practice, transforming passive tolerance into active cooperation. So in a time of religious and ideological rigidity, Anekantavada reminds us that no single perspective owns reality. It is this recognition of shared partial truth that can lead humanity from division towards dialogue, from violence towards understanding, and from coexistence toward collaboration. So this doctrine of Anekantavada should not be viewed merely as a historical doctrine within Jain philosophy. It offers a universal methodology for engaging philosophical diversity. Rather than asking which philosophy should win, it encourages us to ask how can different philosophies illuminate reality together. So that shift may be Jain philosophy's greatest contribution to cross-cultural inquiry. So this is from my side. Thanks for this opportunity, Mariano sir, and all the distinguished speakers here. Thank you so much for listening patiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arihant Kumar Jain, for your presentation. And in the audience, there is some questions, some clarification. Your opportunity. And well, this, especially in our present day society, in which there are so many conflicts all over the world, for one reason or another, this doctrine of Anekantavada is very important, no? And very can contribute to solve many international conflicts that are affecting our society and our planet. So really, it's something very much in need.
See, Anekant, nature of Anekant. So Anekant itself is understood through the perspective of particular praman, which is praman like complete knowledge, and nayas, the partial standpoint. So from point of view of praman, it is many-sided and it is comprehend the infinite attributes of reality, whereas from the viewpoint of a particular nayas. So Acharya Samantabhadra, Jain Acharya Samantabhadra is also states in his text Brihat Swayambhu Stotra that Anekantopyanekantah pramanaya sadhana Anekantah pramanate tadekantopyanayat. It means that Anekant is itself many-sided because it is understood through praman and naya. So through praman, it's revealed the complete nature of an object, and while through naya, it represents a particular aspect of reality.
Thank you, Dr. Arihant Kumar Jain. And with this, I finish. It's coming to an end, but I think we have present also online Dr. Abhishek Ghosh, who has been the dean of the Institute of Dharma Studies till last month, and now continue with another position in the university. So, Dr. Ghosh, if you would like to say some words, you are most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And my apologies. I was traveling. I'm in the United States now, and I mixed up the time zones. And so I was supposed to be here a little earlier. I want to reflect on Professor Iturbe's paper. I've been listening very carefully, and also I've been listening to Dr. Arihant about Anekantavada. In terms of the quote you presented from Jonardon Ganeri, that, Advaita versus Bhakti, and how Advaita Vedanta was seen as the high point of Indian thought. And I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about the intellectual history and the genealogy of that kind of a conversation. What Indologists and historians of modern India often miss out is that strain of thought goes back to Ram Mohan Roy, and that Ram Mohan Roy was not exactly championing grassroots level Hinduism. He was hired to translate the Bible into Sanskrit, and there is a story about the second great fall of Adam. Does everybody know about that story, the second great fall of Adam? Charles Adam was a Presbyterian who was in India, who was working with Ram Mohan Roy, and he thought that by the time Ram Mohan Roy would finish translating the Bible, he would convert to Christianity. What happened, however, is that Ram Mohan Roy converted Charles Adam from his Presbyterian calling to being a Unitarian, and that created a lot of flutter in late 18th century Bengal. And the missionary tracts kept saying that this was the second fall of Adam. That how could someone become a Unitarian from his deep held faith? And Ram Mohan Roy was also trained in Persian, and his whole reform agenda of doing away with image worship, Pauttalikata, or idol worship as he called it, kind of found its way into Brahmo Sabha. It was initially called Brahmo Sabha, then Brahmo Samaj. And so that is the juncture at which Advaita kind of becomes predominant in a intellectual discourse. And as I kind of point out in some of my publications, what we usually miss out is that Hinduism is, to use a metaphor of elephant's tusk, is kind of two-pronged in its presentation of Hindu theology to Western audiences. And the metaphor I want to use, using Dr. Arihant's elephant in the room, is that elephants have two sets of teeth. One is the tusk, and the other is the other set of teeth that it used to chew things, right? And as a historian, my reading of the situation is Advaita Vedanta always turns out to be the tusk that Hinduism shows to the world, whereas Bhakti happens to be the teeth which it grinds the food that it consumes. And this kind of dichotomy between the home and the world comes out very nicely in the works of Partho Chatterjee and Deepesh Chakraborty, where there is the spiritual domain of the home and the material domain of the world. And I was just in a Bhakti symposium, at Patiala just a week back, and I was pointing out that Advaita is more like public theology for people who actually practice bhakti. And so this idea that Advaita is the high point of Hindu thought is only relevant as long as public theology is concerned. Most of these people are bhaktas at the end of the day. And you mentioned Vivekananda, so I'll just conclude my point with Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda preaches Advaita, but his guru is a bhakta. He's steeped in the worship of Kali. And in his book Bhakti Yoga, Vivekananda points out that the love of gopis for Krishna is the pinnacle of spiritual realization that's available in Indian thought. And yet, Advaita is very useful, even though he also says that bhakti is for the masses. Advaita is something that the classes can understand. So that divide between masses and the classes, between what is public theology and what is private practice, holds firm in the question of Advaita and Bhakti. And I just wanted to kind of add that thought footnote to Professor Rituzbe's paper. And thank you, Professor Rituzbe, for inviting me to speak.
Most welcome, Dr. Gott, and happy that was possible to listen to you in spite of the distance and the different time difference. So,
and congratulations on this project. It's very interesting, and I look forward to catching up.
Thank you. And well, thank you to all the participants. Tomorrow is the second day, and we'll start also at 4:30. Well, so looking forward to meeting all of you tomorrow, 4:30. Thank you very much.